Rafa, part 2. Does anybody remember what the meaning of that? Yes. Quara is to proclaim, Rafa, healing. Ma'ak, just landbacking on where the Ruach is leading us. When we proclaim the Basar, then healing takes place. And the Most High is healing the nation. I won't recap, or I won't give you an hour recap because we will be here forever if we teach on the Basar again. But last Shabbat, we brought out what the gospel was, and we dismantled a bunch of lies on what we're taught. The church, they teach us that Hamashiach preached the gospel. He preached himself, but he did not, and we proved that. The Basar is kind of easy, but it's complex. The Basar is the regathering, the law. We proved that last Shabbat. Our ancestors had the law not mixed with faith. Hebrews chapter 4, verses 1 through 9. But what we have is Hamashiach and the law. And when we Quara, Basar, then healing takes place. When we use our mouth and we start proclaiming this truth. For example, when we started, there was a brother named Earl. He was out in the hallway, and he said that he just saw what was going on, and he felt the presence of the Ruach. And so he started talking to me about some things that the Most High has been dealing with. And he said, man, y'all keeping the Shabbat? I said, yes, sir, we keep the Shabbat. He said, my wife, she talked to me about that the other day. And so the Most High is nudging his people. He's calling them out. And so, long story short, we ended up spreading the Basar. We ended up spreading the Basar, the truth to this brother. And he just broke out in tears. He started crying. Netanyahu is my witness. He just started crying, and he said, I felt the presence. He said, I felt the presence. He said, I've been clean now for a couple of days, and my wife has been telling me about this Sabbath, and even his children. So the Most High is calling people out of Babylon, lest you partake of her plagues. We don't want to partake of her plagues. So when we Quara, Rafa, when we proclaim healing and proclaim the Basar, then I'm telling you, healing takes place. Last Shabbat, we touched on baggage. And a lot of us are still carrying baggage that we were dealing with before we could get to this glorious kingdom on earth that we spoke about last week. So let's just begin with the end in mind. There seems to be something wrong with this mic. All right. Begin with the end in mind. No, I'll use this one out. So, just on the earthly sense, when you graduate high school and you go to college, if you go, college is overrated and not required. You don't need college to be successful. Some people decide to go. Some people decide to start a business or something like that. They imagine where they're going in life. They set the target, the goal, first before they get there. They see it in their imagination. And then they lay out the path. Habakkuk chapter 2, verse 2 says, write the vision and make it plain. So what we're going to do is begin with the end in mind. This is the target. This is where we're trying to get to. This is the gospel of the kingdom on earth. Matthew 10, verses 5 through 10. These 12 Yeshua sent out and commanded them, saying, do not go into the way of the Gentiles, and do not enter a city of the Samaritans. Are the Samaritans Hebrews? Yes, during this time, they were mixed up. They were slowly coming back to Judea this time. But the Most High said, don't go to the Gentiles or to the Samaritans, but go rather to the lost sheep of the house of Israel. In context, this is talking about Judah, because there is a prophecy on Judah. And so if we can get Judah right, that's why the man stood out there and he called us. There is something special about what y'all have going on in the room, and I want to know more. So we gave the brothers my name, his name and number, and our coatees, and we're going to connect. They were trying to come in, but we were like, hey, brother, basically this is not church. We want to talk to you first. We have somebody at the door now looking in.
Yeah, copy well.
So basically, Shay, go check on that, or one of our brothers. How can we help you?
I just had to use the restroom. I heard y'all in here talking. I wanted to see what was going on.
Okay, we're just having a Bible study, man. We can take your number and get back with you.
All right, that's cool.
So basically, what we do is people are drawn to the most. Hamashiach said, "If I be lifted up, I'll draw all men unto me." And we just witnessed that. Earlier today, the brother, I'm telling you, he flagged me down. Come on out here. Come on out here. Went outside. This man broke down. The presence of Yah was so strong. Before we brought out the scriptures, he had to say a little prayer himself, because we are a rod of inspection. So don't be surprised when people start opening up to you about baggage and these heavy problems. They're searching. They want to be healed. So don't think that it's strange that they're opening up to you about they've been molested, or this rage that they deal with, or this baggage that they're holding on to, because it's part of healing. And they see that you carry the Ruach. They see Hamashiach in you. Philip said, when did I see the Father? Hamashiach said, when you saw me, you saw the Father. And then Hamashiach said, you see the Father when you see the works. So, the gospel of the BASAR on earth includes works. And he's going to show us his glorious works on a greater level. Let's keep reading this. And as you go, preach, saying, the kingdom of the Shamayim is at hand. Heal the sick, cleanse the lepers, raise the dead, cast out demons. This is the power that we possess. Freely you have received, freely give. Provide neither gold nor silver nor copper in your money bags, nor bag for your journey, nor 2 tunics, nor sandals, nor staffs. For a worker, you got to be willing to put in the work, family. You can't sit on your talents. You sit on your talents, and the Most High will take your kingdom away from you. He said, you wicked and lazy servant, to the person who had 1 talent. But the one who had 5 doubled his talents, because he gave the Most High the little that he had. So he'll multiply us when we step out on faith. So where are we going with this? We're beginning with the end in mind. This is the BASAR, the gospel of the kingdom on earth, comes with power. We're going to heal the sick, cleanse lepers, raise the dead. We're going to unveil the lies that we've been taught. Remember, after Hamashiach died, the veil was taken away and they went into the holy city. Church taught us that those were zombies, but those were men who had understanding. Were you going to say something, Mark?
When you had mentioned that people would know you by the works of Mashiach, even when Mashiach revealed himself to Yehukanan the Baptist, he didn't tell him, tell him I'm the son of Elohim. He said, no, tell him I healed the blind, I gave eyes, I healed the blind, I raised the dead, I did these things. And by these actions, he would know who I am. And even Yah has already told us that people would know who's mine and who's my children is by the love that they have one to another. So it's more so than action. So when people, even there's been plenty of times where we gather or we go to an event and we're just outside just talking. People walk by there like, I don't know what this is, but I like what y'all doing. And it's not. This is not. And from a carnal mindset, you'll look at it as just a group of people talking. They don't know what we're talking about, but they see something that's in us, that how we commune amongst each other, that's something different, and y'all need to keep that going. So it's by your actions, by what you do, it's not by what you say. So even he said, I got your coat, even when he said offer yourself as a sacrifice, it's not by saying I'm a living sacrifice. It's, you know what, I'm going to go through this life. I'm going to go through the fire because I know he's the quenchable fire. But I'm not going to be consumed because I'm going to be sacrificed. So knowing that covenant, knowing that promise that I'm not going to be consumed, I can walk, I can endure through this suffering. That give me the endurance with that faith. But yeah, it's just all about your actions. And what you were seeing in this scripture I was talking about with my aunt is that these same things we're supposed to be doing. We're supposed to be the split image of Hamashiach, so when they see us, they see him. So that's a prime example of what's going on. They see us. They're like, man, y'all got something here. So just like when we sit up to Yehukanan the Baptist, guess what? We're giving eyes, healing the blind. Now the brother can see now. We're casting out demons, been out on the streets. We're doing these things. We're raising the dead. We've been in the dry bones. Our people around here dead, but some are becoming alive by the BASAR, by proclaiming Hamashiach, by proclaiming the kingdom that's coming, because it's at hand. So us doing these things, we're coming from out of the spiritual now into the physical, because now we're seeing the spiritual essence of, now we're starting to manifest the things. So when you saying it just now, guess who just walked in the door? Can you see? Do you have the eyes to see and the ears to hear that even by the words that is power? So when we say these things and we believe it, not just saying it, but believing it. And when we say believe, it's your action. He will manifest it in front of your face.
We could have had 10, 15 more people by now, but we've been guarding the house because we are called to be watchmen. So we send them get started videos, have conversations with them sometimes, and that's where we leave it because they stop themselves. They cut off themselves. But the days of kumbaya are over. We don't just let anybody in the house anymore. That's not what they did in Scripture. The Ruach would actually tell men to not go to this city. We just read. Don't go to the Gentiles. Don't go to the Samaritans. Focus on Judah, the tents of Judah first. Because Judah's calling is so great. Yes, ma'am.
I just wanted to bring back on what I was talking about. They said they, when we had our outreach, our last outreach, we went to Cody, Jasmine and I were sitting outside talking, and this woman walked up to us and she was like, I don't know what y'all talking about. I don't know what's going on, but y'all, I like what y'all doing. She said, I can see the love in y'all. She said, but y'all keep doing what y'all doing. I mean, she just walked up out of nowhere. Just was like, she was looking so stern-faced, and she was like, I don't know what y'all got going on over here. But whatever it is, I like it. So I love you.
Hallelujah.
I just keep it up. So I know we're doing something right here. People ain't just gonna walk into this house like that.
Right. And when you think about it, a lot of times we're not actually doing that, because we sat in our beds like, all right, this is what we're going to do today. I'm going to say a prayer like this. I'm about to cast out about 5 demons. Or somebody going to come over, and I'm like, hey, brother, you can't come in, or you got to guard the house. But these things are not, just something we meditate on. We have that desire of Yah. So when these things happen, we know it's of Yah. He's trying to mold us into that vessel.
Hallelujah.
And we can see these things more clear the more we walk into these things. So now when people come up and ask for these things, we didn't put a sign up and say, hey, we're offering prayer. Pull on up. Hey, we're actually a Christian church, so we're not out here. We're out here to do this. It's one of those manna things. What is this? But I'm going to consume it because I know it's feeding me. I don't know what it is, but I know that this is where I need to be. Just like the earlier. Man Yahoo said that the Ak was in the library. He said he couldn't even sit down. He said I was just drawing, and I was on, and some draw me to this wall. I don't know what it was. As he said, this wall. I was just so drew me to this wall.
Hallelujah.
And I looked out, and I seen my Angelo. He saw a Okoti right here, and he just was drawn. But it's those things that you don't meditate on. Like, all right, turn my light on so people can see me right now. So it goes back to the lost sheep. I was meditating on the lost sheep part, and how we're in our graves, but some people, the lost sheep are lost. Some supposed to be lost. Some people, that situation that they're in, they're there for a reason. That's their calling. Because my sheep hear my voice, and not everybody is his sheep. So when I call, they'll be obedient to any shepherd.
Right.
I know we get back to the lesson. I just want to say at the beginning, we sang this, so a lot of mine, I'm going to let it shine. But we understand that when the light of Yeshua flows from within us, that's that light shining. And it's just amazing how we sang that song. And then even within that, what we witnessed today with the two gentlemen, you know. It's just amazing to see the hand of Yah and seeing these things play out in real time. And being able to recognize it with our spiritual eyes and see what's really going on. So really, letting the light shine.
Hallelujah. So last week we proved to you, based on scriptures, that the gospel of the kingdom on earth is here. And it comes with glory, it comes with power. But before we get to this stage, we have to get rid of a lot of baggage. So what we're doing is beginning with the end in mind, and then we're going to back up. So let's touch Melchizedek. This is the gospel of the kingdom on earth. John 14, 9 through 11. Philip said to him, Adonai, show us the Father, and it is sufficient for us. Hamashiach said to him, have I been with you so long, and yet you have not known me, Philip?
Right.
He who has seen me has seen the Father. So how can you say, show us the Father? Do you not believe that I am in the Father and the Father in me? The words that I speak to you, I do not speak on my own authority. But the Father who dwells in me does the works. So when they see Hamashiach in us, works will follow. This is the gospel of the kingdom on earth. Power. I'm telling you, family, this is where we're going with this. Believe me that I am in the Father and the Father in me. Or else believe me for the sake of the what? Works. This is the gospel of the kingdom on earth. This is beginning with the end in mind. Elijah called down fire. We're going to touch on that because he was in the order of Melchizedek. So some of us can't get to this level because we're carrying baggage. Deuteronomy 11, 16 through 28. I don't know about you, family, but that prayer and praise took something out of me. I'm a little tired. Hallelujah. Deuteronomy 11, 16 through 28. Take heed to yourselves, lest your heart be deceived, and you turn aside and serve other Elohims and worship them, lest Yahuwah's anger be aroused against you, and he shut up the heavens so that there be no rain, and the land yield no produce. In Deuteronomy 30, he said, choose life or death. And he set up heaven and earth as a witness. Yahuwah's anger be aroused against you, and he shut up the heavens so that there be no rain, and the land yield no produce, and you perish quickly from the good land which Yahuwah is giving you. So we know that the Shamayim, heaven and earth, was a witness, bore a witness against us because we embraced the curses. We were not obedient to the covenant, and we didn't listen to the voice of Yah, which is why in Exodus 19, he told us that we should have been a kingdom of priests, but instead we worship other Elohims. So heaven and earth ended up being a witness against us. But it's going to end up giving us power because we're connected to the earth. New heaven and new earth. Verse 18. Therefore ye shall lay up these words of mine in your heart and in your soul, and bind them as a sign on your hand, and they shall be as frontlets between your eyes. You shall teach them to your children, speaking of them when you sit in your house, when you walk by the way, and when you lie down. And when you rise up, and you shall write them on the doorpost of your house and on your gates, that your days and the days of your children may be multiplied in the land which Yahuwah swore to your fathers to give them, like the days of heaven, like the days of the heavens above and the earth. For if you carefully keep all these commandments which I commanded you to do, to love Yahuwah your Elohim and walk in his ways, faith without works is dead. And to hold fast to him, then Yahuwah will drive out all the nations from before you. So Yahuwah is telling us, if you want to see your enemies fall, if you want to see Babylon fall, to walk in his ways. Then Yahuwah will drive out all nations from before you, and you will dispose greater and mightier nations than yourselves. Every place on which the sole of your foot treads will be yours. That is your inheritance. From the wilderness and Lebanon, from the river of Euphrates, even to the western sea, shall be your territory. No man shall be able to stand against you. Yahuwah your Elohim will put dread on you and fear upon all the land where you tread. So we've been talking about our presence, the presence of Israel, placing fear on the earth. On the reverse, it's also blessing. That's why people keep trying to come in here. People keep calling you and texting you. Where are you meeting? We're going to deal with these people in a second. We got to cut off some people, some baggage. And we're going to touch on that in a second. But it says, every high place on which the sole of your foot treads shall be yours. And then it lists all these places. And then it says, Elohim will put dread of you and the fear of you upon all the land where you tread. They fear us now when we're walking down the street wearing hoodies. So when we're walking in Melchizedek, how much more greater fear will they fear us? Just our presence is coming. But we have to cut off some baggage before we embrace the kabod, the glory. Where did I leave off? 28? 26. Behold, I set before you today a blessing and a curse. You choose to either be entangled with these people or cut them off. It's that simple. You choose to keep the commandments of Yah. You choose life or death. The blessing if you obey the commandments of Yahuwah, your Elohim, which I commanded you today, and the curse if you do not obey the commandments of Yah, your Elohim, but turn aside from the way which I commanded you today, and go after other Elohims which you have not known. So in Jeremiah 2 and 3, why did he cut us off? Because of what? Idolatry. We committed fornication on the Most High. The Most High literally refers to it as prostitution. This is why worship is so important, and we have to open our mouth. Our worship to the Most High I'm trying to censor what I'm saying in front of the children. If we prostituted ourselves by worshiping other Elohims, then worship to the Most High is a pleasure. It's a relationship with him. It's consensual. You see where I'm going with this? I'm trying to censor it.
Right.
So, we worship the Most High, and these nations will begin to fear. I'm telling you, the greater the awakening, the greater the sword to our enemies. But we were cursed because we worshiped other Elohims. So what Elohims are we dealing with? What is he showing us? What is he showing us this week?
Idols.
Idols. We saw a falling star this past Monday. A falling star. You ever seen a falling star? A star fell. Yahushua met him in the cloud, and destruction came his way. Kobe Bryant is considered an American idol. You ever heard, I want to be just like Kobe? You ever heard that? I'm telling you, the Most High is tearing down idols. Just this week, Ak shared with me how there was a pastor in the middle of his sermon, and he passed out, he died. We just told y'all that somebody out there was asking us about truth because they told us that the church has lied to us. So the Most High is chopping down idols, specifically in Judah. He told us, tents of Judah first. We've been telling you that the Most High is going to make examples out of people. So we saw a star fell. All right, this is, if you don't know, Kobe's bishop. If you didn't know it, Kobe was a Catholic. Kobe talked to his pastor the morning of his death. And the bishop said, I saw that he had blessed himself because there was holy water on his forehead. Y'all hear that? Holy water on his forehead. Kobe was a Catholic. We know that Constantine picked up sun worship from Nimrod, ancient sun worship. So the Most High is chopping down idols. It goes on to say, Father Steve said, I knew that he went into the chapel and prayed and came out and blessed himself. We spoke for a minute, shook hands, and he went off. And then it says, I don't know if you do this, but Kobe, during his off-season routine, he uses a off-season routine called the 666 program. Have y'all seen this? He's thrown up the symbols plenty of times. So he's been misleading his people. He could be from the tribe of Judah, because according to the prophecies, the tents of Judah would wake up first, because Isaac prophesied on his deathbed that our brothers would follow us, and then all nations, to the Yahudim first. So we're going to see Judah get punished like we've never seen. Keep your eyes open, family. I'm telling you. So Kobe Bryant's off-season routine used to be called the 666 program because it would involve 2 hours of running, 2 hours of basketball, and 2 hours of weightlifting, which he would do for a total of 6 hours per day, 6 times per week, for 6 months. We know this man is part of the beast system. So the Most High cut him off. Deuteronomy chapter 12, verses 1 through 4. These are the statutes and the judgments which ye shall be careful to observe in the land which Yahuwah Elohim of your fathers is giving you to possess. All the days, not just sometime, that you live on the earth. You shall utterly destroy all the places. Cut off these people who are involved in pagan worship. You shall utterly destroy all the places where the nation which you shall dispossess served Elohims on high mountains. We know that his helicopter ran into a mountain. And on the hills and under every green tree. The Most High said we prostituted ourselves. In Greek it's porneia. And you shall destroy their altars, break their sacred pillars, and burn their wooden images with fire. And ye shall cut down the carved images of their Elohims and destroy their names from that place. You shall not worship your Elohim in this way. So we're seeing that the Most High is ramping up death, disease, sickness, we see the coronavirus is spreading. It's here, family. Hamashiach prophesied about it in Matthew 24, talking about pestilences. But we're specifically talking about knocking down idols. We're connected to some people that we need to detangle ourselves from. Because these people will cause us destruction. Well, our Elohim is a consuming fire. And we know that Daniel prophesied about this time that we're living in, where he would test the whole earth. Many will be consumed during this time. Zechariah 12, verses 4 through 9. So we're going to focus on Judah, Yahudah, because that's prophecy. We get Judah right, and many other nations will follow. Zechariah 12. Zechariah chapter 12, verses 4 through 9. In that day, says Yahuwah, I will strike every horse with confusion, and its riders with madness. I will open my eyes on the house of Yahudah, Judah. We're waking up. We see these things. People can't understand what's going on right now. A helicopter fell out of the sky. A pastor literally died in the middle of giving his sermon. The Most High said, I will strike every horse of the peoples with blindness, and the governors of Judah shall say in their heart, the inhabitants of Jerusalem, that's the rest of Israel, are my strength. In Yahuwah Sabaoth, their Elohim, their Elohim in that day, I will make the governors of Judah like a fire pan in the woodpile. So we were talking about our presence casting judgment on people. We have to be careful what we say to people, what we say to our family members, because once they hear it, it becomes a rod of it becomes judgment to them. So we have to be careful what we say. I was talking to my pops this morning, and I'm very careful about what I say, because it could ultimately cause someone to die, physically and spiritually. But the word says that the governors of Judah will be like a fire pan in the woodpile. And we know that the word tells us that Jacob will never be consumed, but many will be consumed during this time. Many people are going to die, get sick, and many people are going to feel sorry. But we shouldn't feel sympathy. We should in a sense, but the Most High said, tear down these idols.
And you said sympathy, so that's scary, being from the nations that's looking at us. When this helicopter crashes and everybody's mourning, he's a star. Everybody looks up to him. So when these things happen, hey, you heard about that thing with Kobe? Yeah. Hey, I was sad. Like, yeah, I mean, it's sad. Yeah, man. Cause I was like, bro, chill out. But the thing is, the things of this world, it seems like Yah has when you walk in these things, Yah detaches you from those idols. Right. Automatic. By keeping his law, statutes, commandments, now you can see and think the way he thinks. So when we seen this happen, automatic, I was like, man, that's judgment. That is not normal. Anytime stuff is not normal, then you know it's of Yah. I mean, even stuff that is normal, but something like that, these are signs. So just like the coronavirus, hey man, they coming over here. It's 3 cases now in America. 3. And this is I think Ahmad Yahoo, he brought out, this is one of these airborne viruses. And it's one of those people are frightened. It gets you roused up. Right. I think people are starting to buy masks now, just in case, But these things are here to provoke, to be a sign. But for us, if you know your calling, you know your purpose, and you know that it's written, you should know that these things are coming. But if you know who you belong to, you're covered. So even in Christianity, that when these things supposed to happen, that you're supposed to be waiting for you're supposed to want these things to happen, actually. You're supposed to be like, oh, these are signs coming. Well, redemption is here. But instead, you're scared. You're sad. You're moaning the death of these idols. You're mourning these things that's coming up. We're saying, Yahuwah Sabaoth. Volcano, Yahuwah Sabaoth.
Yahuwah Sabaoth.
A virus, Yahuwah Sabaoth.
Hallelujah.
Helicopter, Yahuwah Sabaoth.
Hallelujah.
Get in the house. But the thing is, you're starting to see these things happen, and you can see the side that people are on. Because if you're sitting here and you're cleaving onto it, and this hurts, it's like, who you really serving then? So that's why it's hard for people to start trying to keep the Shabbats or to keep the feast or to even follow the laws of God, because it reveals to them who you serve.
Right.
So that's why it goes back to what you were saying earlier, that it's hard to talk to certain people, because when you're telling them, they're being judged. Because now you know. For there was a time where he winked at our ignorance, but now you give it a chance to search it out for yourself and read it for yourself. And now it's up to you if you want to receive this or you don't. If you want to receive this, you can't not even call it truth. If you want to see this word, this manna, or you don't. It's going back to the BASAR. Repent and believe in the BASAR. So when these things happen, if you're fearful and you're scared, do you truly believe in the BASAR?
Right.
Because these supposed to be the signs of the season that you're in. And what should you do? So if you're over here mourning, like, oh man, and you still haven't repented and still came into the house,
Right.
what sheep are you?
The hireling. So the Most High is destroying the hirelings. That is a hired, meaning a hired one. People are following the hireling, and the Most High is destroying that whole beast system. It's falling. That's why churches are dying and people are falling out of the sky. I'm telling you. So the Most High is showing us that we need to detach ourselves from people specifically, because these people have made themselves into idols.
Right.
So, verse 6, in that day I will make the governors of Yehuda like a fire pan and a wood pile. Remember, Yaakov will never be consumed. And like a fiery torch in the sheaves, they shall devour all the surrounding peoples. We are his battle axe. The greater the awakening, the greater the sword. That's why we're seeing world chaos. Just yesterday I saw in Brazil, flooding, like 56 people died. Puerto Rico, obliterated. World chaos.
Hold on. All right. So he said that we're supposed to be that fire, right?
Yes, sir.
But we know Yahuwah is a quenchable fire. And we all supposed to be in the split image of him. Just like Hamashiach, when you see him, you see me, you see the Father.
That's right.
So he scattered us in the four corners so that we could be that fire. He put us in the fire to be the fire.
That's right.
To be an image of him, that quenchable fire that can't be consumed. So if you're around us, it's either you're Jacob or you're not. And either you consume or not. So I'm just doubling down on what you're saying as far as the fire, Yehuda being the fire, because we're supposed to be the split image of Yah.
Hamashiach, is the refiner's fire. And like a fiery torch in the sheaves, they shall devour all the surrounding peoples on the right hand and on the left. But Jerusalem, the people, Israel, shall be inhabited again in her own place, Jerusalem. Verse 7. Yahuwah will save the tents of Judah first. That's why he is destroying. We're going to see a ramping up of people people who have been selling Israel lies, deception. They're living these lies and deception, creating a stumbling block for our people. We're going to see them. We're going to see them fall off. Many people will die and get sick. And so the Most High is showing us that we need to detach ourselves from these idols, these people, even personally. Okay, so the tents of Judah first, so that the glory of the house of David Melchizedek, and the glory of the inhabitants of Jerusalem, the other tribes shall not become greater than that of Judah, because it is prophecy that when you wake up Yehuda, I'm telling you, family, we're about to shake up the world. In that day, Yahuwah will defend the inhabitants of Jerusalem. The one who is feeble among them in that day shall be like Dawid, Melchizedek. And the house of Dawid shall be like Elohim, like the angel of Elohim before them. It shall be in that day that I will seek to destroy all the nations that come against Israel. Destruction, more destruction is coming. We're going to see more people die. So, yes, ma'am.
And just to land back off what you said, if you were to go down to chapter 13, verse 2.
Okay.
And it said that it shall come to pass in that day, says Yahuwah Shabbat, that I will cut off the names of the idols out of the land, and they shall no more be remembered.
No more be remembered.
And there's some more, but that's the part I want.
Hallelujah.
So that just refers what you just saw.
Hallelujah. There will be a time when this truth will be so obvious that Kobe Bryant's name will not be remembered for being a great basketball player. Yahuwah is reestablishing fear on the earth for his name's sake, and he's doing it through the awakening, and specifically through Yahudah, through Judah. So we already know that destruction comes to the house first. Well, it's time. It's paid. I'm telling you, Yahuwah is punishing the earth. So let's focus on the tents of Judah. Question, family. Did Yehuda or Judah get scattered? I need to change out the batteries. Did Judah get scattered, cursed for not keeping the law? Oh, is it cut off? Oh, you can see it? Talk back to me, family. Did Yehuda get scattered and cursed for not keeping the law? I heard you say something.
I said they kept the law, they just idolatry, but that is the law.
Hallelujah. Right. Judah did keep the law to the best of their ability under the Pharisees and scribes. Hamashiach, they kept traditions of men. Their leaders of that day, the scribes and Pharisees, kept traditions that Hamashiach spoke against, but they were still keeping the law, not to the letter, but to the best of their ability. So let's get into why Judah is still cursed to this day and scattered. Because that's our focus, is focusing on the tents of Yehuda. Matthew 27, verses 24 through 25. So when Pilate saw, and it's funny, the lady that we were ministering to touched on this, talking about the blood on the hands. So she's partially awake, seeking clarity. And so I just praise Yahuwah that we're going to talk to her, bring her into this truth, y'all willing. So back to why the tents of Judah, why we're seeing them suffer. So when Pilate saw that he was gaining nothing, but rather a riot was beginning, he took water and washed his hands before the crowd, saying, I am innocent of Hamashiach's blood. See it to yourselves. And all the people answered, his blood be on us and our children. So during this awakening, our hands are being cleaned. The Most High is cleaning our hands. But people like Kobe and many others still have blood on their hands. Our people had a chance to let a criminal go and free Hamashiach. But instead they said free Barabbas instead of freeing Hamashiach. For that decision alone, Judah still has blood on his hands today. It's called the innocent blood curse. Precept in Torah, Jeremiah 26, verse 8. Let me see that other mic. Now it happened when Jeremiah had made an end of speaking. So the Most High will always send us the spirit of prophecy when we're in error. If we're heading down the wrong path, he'll send us somebody. Jeremiah, he spoke and commanded to him. The Most High spoke to him and said, speak to all the people that the priest and the prophets and all the people seized him. So the Most High told Jeremiah to speak to the people, and they seized him, saying, you will surely die. Some of us don't want to hear constructive criticism, correction. Verse 9. Why have you prophesied in the name of Yah, saying, this house shall be like the house of Shiloh, and this city shall be desolate without inhabitant? It's coming, family. And all the people were gathered against Jeremiah in the house of Yah. Notice that the priests and the prophets were in the house of Yah. When the princes of Judah heard these things, Judah always showing his tail, they came up from the king's house to the house of Yahuwah and sat down in the entry of the new gate. And that's where watchmen are. Being led by Hamashiach, we sit at the gate and we protect the house. So the princes of Judah came to the gate of Yahuwah's house, and the priests and the prophets spoke to the princes and all the people, saying, this man deserves to die, for he has prophesied against this city, as you have heard with your ears. Verse 12. Then Jeremiah spoke to all the princes and all the people, saying, Yahuwah sent me to prophesy against this house and against this city. That's what we're doing today. We're prophesying against the fourth beast, the Roman Catholic system. We're prophesying against them and the city with all these words that you have heard. Jeremiah in verse 13 said, now amend your ways, repent in your doings, and obey the voice of Yah. Then Yahuwah will relent concerning the doom that he has pronounced against you. As for me, here I am in your hand. Do with me as it seems good and proper to you. So Jeremiah said, do with me what you please, but I'm speaking the words of Yah. But know for certain that if you put me to death, you will surely bring innocent blood on yourselves, on this city, and on its inhabitants. This is called the innocent blood curse, and it's on our people today. For truly, this is when you kill a man in Israel who's innocent. You end up with blood on your hands. For truly, Yahuwah has sent me to you to speak all these words in your hearing. So the princes and all the people said to the priests and the prophets, this man does not deserve to die, for he has spoken to us in the name of Yahuwah. So he spoke. They knew they were going to die because they were dealing with a man of Yah, a prophet. They said, don't kill him, because we know judgment is coming to our house. So this is why the tents of Judah, the ramping up of consequences for Judah. Let me just put it like that. We're going to see it on a whole nother level, because we have blood on our hands, and this blood has to be paid for. So the Most High is dealing with cutting off people, unclean spirits, baggage, drunkenness, drugs, unforgiveness, anger, anxiety, lying, laziness, arrogance, sexual sin, pride, bitterness, callousness, depression, manipulation. Bitterness is there again, and religion. So Yahuwah was tearing down the house. And in order for us to remove this baggage, we have to proclaim healing. That's what this message is about. And we have to ask Yahuwah for forgiveness. We have to confess with our mouth these things. Go ahead and get Leviticus 26, 38 through 43. So you have people, and I keep bringing up Kobe's name is because I'm telling you, the world is in shock right now. I keep bringing up his name, it's because people like him, because the Mashiach will show you things. And if you ignore the spirit of prophecy, if you ignore instruction, then damnation will follow. So he's asking us to confess these strongholds. You have your hand up?
Yes, I did. The reason why I think that a lot of people are just at shock because they idolized Kobe so much that they thought he was untouchable. They thought that he was indestructible, and they really basically worshiped him as a god.
That's right.
And so this is shocking them that their God is dead. You know, so I think that's what a lot of people problem is, that they can't get over the simple fact that their Elohim is dead. You know, that it happened like that. You know, that he just didn't die from a natural death. He died from a plane crash, something any mortal.
Yep.
You know, it can happen to anybody. That's shocking.
Hallelujah. The Most High is going to make more examples out of people connected to sun worship. Sun worship got started by who? Nimrod, which is ancestor worship. Nimrod. Our people are still worshiping Nimrod today, unknowingly, but the Most High is chopping down that system. Semiramis, his wife, the queen of heaven. People unknowingly still worship Semiramis today. Easter, Estar. So the Most High is tearing down these systems, and we're going to see more idols, more people die. It's unfortunate for some, but redemption for others. Yahuwah Sabaoth.
And just to land back off of that, it's funny because you just brought it to me, but I'm gonna bring that point in first. It's funny how, not funny, but it's sad that y'all had, it was twofold things that was in that. But it's sad that his daughter had to die as well.
We're going to touch on that.
The things that he probably took on.
That's right.
And blew into covenant with. And then we all know that, well, not we all, but Kobe Bryant was also known as the GOAT. The GOAT, the greatest of all time, whatever. And they used to call him the GOAT. Or the Black Mamba. And it's funny because LeBron James just got a tattoo of a black serpent resembling the Black Mamba. Like, when you look at these stuff, you be like, man, why would you even, I would never want to tie myself to any type of snake.
Right.
Even in our Babylon captivity, we understand that snakes ain't good.
Right.
They call snakes snitches or grimy. Our people don't even play with snakes, period. But to be even called that and resemble, like, that's the animal of choice.
Right.
But anyway, they call him the GOAT. And the GOAT, we know, I think you did a teaching, somebody did a teaching about the GOAT. They lead the sheep to the slaughter.
Baphomet.
The Judas goat. And right before they go to the slaughter, the goat turns off and the sheep keeps on going. So in resemblance, it seemed like y'all had to get rid of that goat because that same idol, that same goat has been leading our people astray. So let me cut that off real quick. Just like it kind of resembles Obama, where he led us to the slaughter. He put us to sleep. We thought we was rude. We was like, oh, we coming up. Let me remove you. And then I'm going to put somebody just the total opposite to shake things up. Right. So what I see coming is that shaking. When you get rid of that and more goats, because there's plenty of goats out there. Mm-hmm. There's plenty of idols out there. And where Goaty brought out, those idols, those goats going to have to go in order for him to really cleave on to, and awaken the rest of those lost sheep that's still out there. So that's all I got.
Hallelujah. Most High is going to punish Judah on a whole nother level. That's why my children, they get it. But if I see your child out of line, I'll come to you and say, hey, you might want to handle that. But my child, we use the rod. And so the Most High has been spanking the nation, but we did 400 years in prison. Then judgment, according to the prophecy, and now the curses are being placed on our enemies, including the goat,
the Judas goat,
the hirelings, these are false shepherds, people who have been teaching the nation lies.
Right.
What did Jeremiah say? Our fathers have taught lies.
Right.
They've been feeding us lies. So the Most High is going to punish specifically Judah on a whole new scale. So the nation should be fear and trembling right now. So we got to deal with these strongholds before we get to Melchizedek. Go ahead, Al.
Leviticus chapter 26,
This is how we break these strongholds.
verse 38. And ye shall perish among the heathen, and the land of your enemies shall eat up you up. And they that are left of you shall pine away their iniquity in your enemies' land, and also the iniquity of their fathers shall they pine away with them. If they shall confess their iniquity and the iniquity of their fathers with their trespass which they trespassed against me, and that they walked contrary unto me, and I also have walked contrary unto them, and I have brought them into the land of their enemies. If then their uncircumcised hearts be humbled, and they then accept the punishment of their iniquity, then I will remember my covenant of Jacob, and also my covenant with Isaac, and the covenant of Abraham will I remember, and I will remember their land.
So Yahuwah told us that he would eat us up in our captivity. We're in a time of healing if you receive the instruction by Hamashiach when he reveals himself. And it takes humbling ourselves and confession. In Narcotics Anonymous, the first step, they tell you that step number one is acknowledging that you have a problem. You can't get clean if you don't acknowledge that you have a problem. That goes with all of these strongholds. It takes confession if we're dealing with depression, the spirit of addiction. Some of these things are ancestral spirits, generational curses that have been passed down the line. The spirit of addiction is on my family. So I was almost devoured by it. Many of our people are plagued by addiction. When we go teach the brothers in jail, most of them are there for some drug-related situation, either consuming drugs or some connected to drugs somehow. These are strongholds. And we can't get past this. We can't get to the next level if we don't get past these strongholds. So confessing our sins, our forefather sins, is what it takes. He who conceals his sins does not prosper, but whoever confesses and renounces them finds mercy. So it takes confessing our sins, not hiding them. Because the Most High, I'm telling you, is punishing Judah for hiding his sins. The word renounces means to declare that one will no longer engage in, adhere to, or support. Basically, we reject that sin. James 5:13, is anyone among you suffering? Let him pray. Is anyone cheerful? Let him sing psalms. Is anyone among you sick? Let him call for the elders of the assembly, and let him pray over him, anointing him with the oil in the name of Yahuwah. We witnessed that today. We witnessed healing here today. Hallelujah!
Hallelujah!
Lakoti, what's your name? Wilma. You received healing here today. That declaration was made. We praise Yahuwah that these scriptures are living. This is the Most High's living word. Our Koti and all of us, we anointed you today. It says, confess your trespasses to one another. This is hard for some of us. What's that saying? When you turn off the lights, when you turn on the lights, the roaches run. What's that?
Turn on lights, the roaches go.
In other words, we have to expose sin by confessing it. When you turn the lights on, the roaches run. There it is. When you turn the lights on, the roaches run. We used to have roaches back in the day.
Right.
Man, I'm telling you, we have to expose our sin. Because if we don't, it will end up consuming us. And ultimately will be our destruction. And we'll never get healed from whatever stronghold it is. So, it says, confess your trespass to one another. Even if it's somebody that you trust. You don't have to be in front of all of us. But cling on to somebody and talk to them. If you want these strongholds to be broken. How bad do you want it? The effectual, fervent prayer of the righteous man availeth much. So healing must take place before Melchizedek. Elijah was in the order. Elijah was a man with a nature like ours, and he prayed earnestly that it would not rain. And it did not rain on the land 3 years and 6 months. And he prayed again, and the heaven gave him rain, and the earth produced its fruit. But you notice that healing must take place before we can walk in the order of Melchizedek, or before we can fully appreciate the gospel of the kingdom on earth. And then you can call down the fire. But you can't call down any fire if we're dealing with sexual sin. We're dealing with these strongholds. So, my aunt brought out how Kobe's daughter died. We have to be careful who we cling ourselves on to, because you could end up being guilty by association. The word badal in Hebrew is to divide. We're in a time of division. The Most High is still separating. There's a separation, a divide, a fixed divide going on in the earth as we speak. It's prophecy. But the Most High is showing us to detach ourselves from these idols. Go ahead and read Joshua. Well, let me get that. Joshua chapter 7, verses 1 through 5. Some might consider it cold-blooded. Kobe died. This person passed. Mourning, still exalting that person like an idol. But the Most High will take down several people for one man's sin. Go ahead.
And a side note, it seems like I've seen some of the names. It seemed like 3 of those ladies, or somebody was a family. It seemed like they were had like a Jewish name. It was like some Zeli or something like that. Just something to be aware of.
Interesting. Those who say they are Yahudim and are not, but are the what?
They do lie.
All right, Joshua chapter 7, verses 1 through 5. Defeated at Ai. But the children of Israel committed a trespass regarding the accursed things. To some, Kobe would be considered an accursed thing because he was an idol in the nation. For Achan, keep that name in mind, he's not the rapper. The son of Carmi, the son of Zabadi, the son of Zara, of the tribe of Judah. It's always Judah. Always Judah start trouble. But on the reverse, if you get Judah right, get those brothers who are out there sagging and who have these strong ruachs, if you get them right, I'm telling you, the Most High can use them in a powerful way. That's why it's prophesied. This is why they love your music. They love your culture. So keep Achan in mind. He took of the accursed things. So the anger of Yahuwah burned against the children of Israel. Not against just him, but of the children of Israel. So Joshua sent men from Jericho and Ai, which is beside Beth Aven on the east side of Bethel, and spoke to them, saying, Go up and spy out the country. So the men went up and spied out Ai. And they returned to Joshua and said to him, Do not let all the people go up, but let about 2,000 or 3,000 men go up and attack Ai. Do not weary all the people there, for the people of Ai are few. So about 3,000 men went up there, and and from the people, but they fled before the men of Ai. So the people of Ai are chasing them away, the Israelites away. And the men of Ai struck down how many men? 36 men died, for they chased them from before the gate as far as Sherebium and struck them down. Therefore the hearts of the people melted and became like water. So the sin of one man clinging on to the accursed things caused 36 men to die. So the Most High is telling us to knock down these idols. If we're connected to people who are not about the business of Yah, cut them off. I'm telling you, cut them off. Because you and 36 others can end up in a plane crash. The Most High is not playing. Show you how he dealt with Joshua. He told Joshua in verse number, basically he told Joshua, look, if you don't get it right, I will cut you off as a moray. I'll cut you off. Let's get verse 19. Now Joshua said to Achan, this is where we are in this hour. The Most High is dealing with Achan and all these idols in this way. He's making an example out of these people. And he's going to show us, that's prophecy. He said that we will see it with our eyes. Now Joshua said to Achan, my son, I beg you to give glory to Yahuwah and make confession. There's confession again to him. And tell me now what you have done. Do not hide it from me. And Achan answered Joshua and said, indeed, I have sinned against Yah of Elohim, and this is what I have done. When I saw among the spoils a beautiful Babylonian garment. Many of us are still wearing these Babylonian garments today. Our telephones have become Elohims. I'm telling you, we cling on to things that we should not. And these things will end up being destruction for many of us. Babylonian, what are some of the Babylonian garments that we wear today?
Food.
Food? Can you elaborate?
That Babylonian food will destroy us as a people. When we come to understanding of the things that we should be consuming, their diet plan or their pyramid that they give us, it actually kills our body. Even with over the past couple of years, even how they put swine in everything, it's killing us spiritually, and it's in everything. I mean, even not even just the food, but also the ingredients.
Right. That's
not even meat. They're putting swine in, but it's killing us. So these are Babylonian things that we cleaved into to endure in captivity, and we still holding on to those things, and we consider those things as good to us versus just letting it go, that these things came from us, from Babylon. And we're still holding on to these Babylonian customs. Religion is a Babylonian garment that we're still holding on to. Yeah.
Some of their holidays and festivals, I know when it starts from them, they have all those balloon festivals. They have some beer, German festival. They just drink beer. And then one point in time, you be like, I want to take my kids to the festival. You know what I'm saying? Then when you start thinking about it, you're like, no, you don't know what's behind that festival. You don't know what they worshiping when they have that festival.
Right.
That's my learning of these, because my mom she does festivals because it's small, but you know, you can take the kids there and do something with them. But now I'm like, no, I don't care what name they keep running festivals. I'm not taking my kids.
Right.
Because you don't know what's behind that.
That's right.
St. Patrick's Day. They get drunk.
The things that we consume ourselves with, like reality TV shows, things that take our time away from Yah. And so I know when I say this, I'll probably have some people upset me, but y'all know tomorrow's the Super Bowl. And again, we talk about these idols. Well, we know we make the football teams, the sports teams, they're idols, these athletes, right? And then, you know, everybody's waiting to watch the Super Bowl. Then you got the halftime show, so now you have more idols at halftime performing and things like that. And so, you know, some people, like, tomorrow's a big thing for them. Huge, you know, they've been planning all month, getting ready for it. So, yeah, Babylon, one of those garments, just the things that they consume their time with, that's outside of Yah.
Yes, ma'am.
I was just gonna say, the football thing that got so bad, they have it in church parties now. They have church parties to watch the football game now. So you get out of church, they try to get out early enough, so you can watch the Super Bowl together in church.
The word fanatic, that to me, that's I don't know if I'm going too far with it, but that's like an abomination because it's an addict. You're an addict to it.
Right.
You know, some people get more hype about their football team, favorite football team or whatever, and they will come in here and praise and worship.
Hallelujah.
You know, they'll go buy jerseys, they'll go buy footwear, whatever that person that whatever the sports figure is selling, they'll spend big money on that.
Right.
But they won't come in here and donate some money so we can keep this going. You know, it's crazy, you know, what people will do for their idols.
Their Elohim.
Yeah, with something like what we was learning but now women, you know, this is an idol that you made yourself with your own hands, and then you gonna worship it. You know, that's just crazy to me. You know, you go up and build this altar or idol or whatever, and then you go to it and say, bless me with this, bless me with this. Huh? And they can't even talk back to you. They can't do it. It doesn't move unless you move.
Right.
So that is just crazy. And then these people with this fanatics, you making these people all this money, but then you poor. You barely making it yourself, but
Right.
you're gonna spend that $200 for the majority. But you're rich. You can't. It's fast food like this, lifestyle people, but you like Jordan rich. Like Jordan ain't gotta worry about nothing. He ain't gotta worry about his life being cut off. But you do, you want to be the cheering. You know my story.
Most High is making monuments out of these idols. Don't cling on to idols because you can go down in flames with them. And let me show you what Most High is doing, you're ready to do on a greater scale with Judah specifically, because it's prophecy. We stopped at, these are all the things that Achan hid in his tent, the accursed things that he held on to.
Since we on idols,
Go ahead.
so just because we're in the season, so you know the whole NFL. So it's funny how y'all always cuss down these idols, or he'll try to stir up the pot. So you know the past couple of years, this whole protest for the injustice system, taking a knee and things like that. So the NFL took a real hit from the black community. However, that is still an idol. Some people wasn't able to break away from that and whatnot. I was a huge fan, Cowboys fan, but now I used to get crazy about the game, but now I look back, I'm like, man, that was truly an idol to me. However, but y'all had to reveal it, reveal the face of the idol itself. And I was able to see, I'm like, I cannot do this because it goes against my morals. But what I was getting at is that a lot of the whole system is based off of our people. So funny thing is that next year the NFL said that they are going to start doing a campaign for the injustice system. Because when I seen that, it seems that they're trying to get our people back to that idol, to come back. It's like, look, we're for your people. Matter of fact, we're gonna start campaigning for y'all movement too. This is wrong or whatnot. But it's funny how they have to initiate it, where we can't initiate it.
Right.
Because we initiate it, then we're on the face of it. But if they do it, I'm still your master. I'm still your idol. But that's another stronghold. The the serpent is so wise and sneaky. That's how they keep us in sin.
Right.
I give you a little bit, but I'm gonna take everything.
Right.
I'm gonna write a contract for you for this time being, but guess what? You're still gonna be in captivity for the rest of your life.
We know a lot of those famous people, rappers, sell themselves out, put a price tag on their soul, and master can pull the cord at any given time.
Yep.
So, anybody else want to bring something out before we continue?
Oh, and one last thing. Dancing and music is definitely an idol. I seen a clip. I'm in this family group chat, and they took it funny, but they had a video of a church lady. I mean, had hat on and everything. She dropped down on the floor and started twerking. I'm like, what? This is gone too far. It's out of control. Even the church was like, oh. It was like, I mean, this is this is supposed to be like an elder type character type of lady, and you doing this. Idols don't even, these spirits come and intermingle. That's all they do is intermingle. That's what Babylon does. Bring here in this country is known for the melting pot. Bring everything, we'll mix it together, and we could come up with the most unrighteous thing ever. That's just what they, it's like, what do they do? I don't know, but I seen that, and I was just like, man, I seen that. I couldn't even.
Really at a church?
That,
Because I saw it too, but I was trying to look and see where they really, supposed to be praising.
right. I seen the choir stand, and they had the pulpit right there, and then
I was shocked when I really saw that. And I was like, what is this?
that's what they're doing these things. I mean, even if you follow the Kanye church, I mean, just how they praise, it's stuff ain't right. I mean, even when I came out of church, man, I was seeing, the breaking of the head and the wrist, and you're a man playing the organ, you leading and all that stuff. It's like, what kind of stuff is this? It's confusion. And when you see that without saying it and addressing it, your mind is starting to accept these things. So that's why they come out, and Donald Sterling can curse you out or whatever, but as long as you do that, we'll put you to the side. We accept it. Jerry Jones tell your people to stand up and all that stuff. He put it out there. But guess what? I'll give you this. We accept it. For so long, we always accepting ourselves for so low, and then they keep on running us over. They keep on shooting us. They keep on poisoning they taking our women and not saying nothing about it. But we're accepting these things. All right, we're going to do this. We'll pass this law. It's too much of we're accepting just a portion of the plate. I want my full plate. Mm-hmm. I want what's owed to us. So you can't give me back what's already owed. So, I mean, this is where we're at now. Because now y'all is revealing to us these things now. So when we see this in the church, it's like, man, this is not acceptable. This is not. Right. I mean, it's not even funny. I chuckled. I was like, it was more of a chuckle like, I can't believe they're doing this. Like, what? This can't be real. This can't be real. Just like Kobe Bryant dying. Ha! That can't be real. I looked at when you first came across your phone, you're like, nah, it's got to be spam. Nah, this is real. Right. So everything we're starting seeing, y'all, things that's not normal is starting to happen now.
Hallelujah. Your people within that group chat wearing the garments of Babylon. And Babylon means confusion. And the Most High is not the author of confusion.
Another thing, the system of Babylon now, and I think everyone has seen this, even in death, they're taking people in death and pose them up like they were alive.
Right.
On bicycles,
yeah.
dominoes.
Oh yeah.
And you know, like this is crazy now. This is insane, and now it's become normal. As different what you do your day now. Close to grandma. That's not good. In the system of Babylon.
Hallelujah. Somebody else have a comment? It's 4 o'clock. We're gonna. I know I'm not gonna finish this lesson, but I want to finish out this verse.
Yeah.
Maybe share one other script with you, and then we can call it a day. So let's see what happened to Achan. Because here's where we are in this hour. The Most High is making an example specifically out of the tents of Judah. We should be leading, but instead we're being led. So, let's go back to, I stopped at verse 21. When I saw among the spoils, this is Joshua, a beautiful Babylonian garment. These are the things that Achan hid in his tent. The accursed things, 200 shekels of silver and a wedge of gold weighing 50 shekels. I coveted them. People were saying, I want to be like Kobe. I want to be like Mike. And took them. And there they were hidden in the earth and in the midst of the tent with silver under it. Verse 22. So Joshua sent messengers, and they ran to the tent, and there was hidden in his tent with the silver under it. And they took them from the midst of the tent, brought them to Joshua and all the children of Israel, and laid them out before Yah. So the Most High is laying out these idols before the house of Israel. Then Joshua and all Israel with him took Achan, took his son, took the silver, took the garment, took the wedge of gold, his sons, his daughters, his oxen and his donkeys, his sheep, his tent, and all that he had, and they brought them to the valley of Achor. And Joshua said, why have you troubled us? Yahuwah will trouble you this day. So all of Israel stoned with stones, and they burned them with fire after they had stoned them with stones. Then they raised over him a great heap of stones, still there to this day. So Yahuwah turned from the fierceness of his anger. So the only way that the Most High will turn his anger from us is to burn up these idols, to separate ourselves from these people. If you get caught up with these people and you're entangled with these idols, anything that you place as an idol needs to be knocked down. But the Most High is dealing with people in this hour. If we don't cut these people off, we're going to go down in flames. And we're going to witness it as a nation, because Shlomo Solomon told us that the whole duty of man is to fear Elohim and to keep his commandments. We've been sold deception for so long that the Most High is fed up. And he's making an example out of many. Let's finish that out. Therefore, the name of that place has been called the Valley of the Achor to this day. One more slide and we will close it out. We know that this coronavirus is spreading. Coronavirus is spreading. I actually printed something from the medical doctors, and they said this virus is not a bacterial infection, hence cannot be treated by antibiotics. It's here in America. It's spreading. But even worse is being entangled with idols, because the Most High is chopping down idols. So, Corinthians 5, 9 through 13. I wrote to you in my epistle not to keep company with sexually immoral people. Don't even keep company with these people. If you know their full sin, yet I have certainly and did not mean with the sexually immoral people of this world, or with the covetous, or extortioners, or idolaters, since then you would need to go out of the world. So he's talking to believers. He's not even talking to the world. But now I have written to you not to keep company with anyone named a brother who is sexually immoral or covetous, or any idolater, or a reveler, or a drunkard, or an extortioner, not even to eat with such a person. The Christians will see this, and if they don't like you, they cut you off. But the precept is Matthew 18. You try to work it out with your brother by speaking to him or her first. And then you take 2 or 3 witnesses, and then you take it before the assembly. And if they decide to cling on to that sin, then you cut them off. Verse 12. For what have I to do with judging those who also are outside? Do you not judge those who are inside? But those who are outside, Elohim judges. Therefore, put away from yourselves that evil person. So in this hour, the Most High is showing us that we have to cut off these idols. Hallelujah.
Lest you be judged.
Lest you be judged. All right. I don't know. We so what time is it? 4:06. So, quick announcements. You registered for PASAP? Get registered, family, if you want to go. Possible outreach in February. We're going to try to roll out some details. Or March. I'm unsure. And then I'll touch on this. I think I want to touch on this when we have more people here. But as y'all witnessed, we had people who wanted to come in here today. But we told them, no, let's call you and have conversations first. Y'all have seen people were shooting up churches. People were stabbing up folks. So the days of kumbaya are over. What I mean by that is on Facebook, some people just accept anybody to be their friends and not even know them. I don't do that. I have to know somebody to accept them as my friend. Because they're not your friend, and I teach my children this. You go to school with a bunch of people, but they're not all your friends. So don't accept them on Facebook. So we are the same way in the house. We got to get to know them and send them videos about ReBirth to see if they believe in the mission. If they don't, this may not be the place for them. That's how we filter these people. Or if you vouch for them, then they can come in the house. Other than that, we're going to be looking at them like, where did you come from? How did you get in there? So just to show you where we are, family, we are even detaching ourselves amongst ReBirth, all the assemblies, even in the ministry of the women of Benin. If the women are not part of ReBirth, they can't even join that ministry. Because we know how serious it is by entangling ourselves with sin. We go down in flames, and we're just not trying to do that. Right. So, any questions, family, before we pray it out? Any volunteers? Pray it out.
James.